Welcome, fight fans, to the Fighters Boys Kick Ass Podcast.
Your boy Dr. Thorley.
The most entertaining and talked about podcast with your kick ass host, Richard Ortiz.
You mad? Come at me, bro.
And his loyal kick ass co-host, Senor Cole Escovedo.
Streaming live and worldwide.
Coming to you all the way live from a little place somewhere in Cali. The Fighters Boys Kick Ass Podcast.
Fresno, California. We're live in Mad Production Studio. Sorry about that. You know, we had a little
mad feedback.
It was mad feedback.
That's mad feedback.
You know why? Because we're in the Mad Studio. Mad Production Studio in Fresno, California. Tonight's guest, we have the founder of, what is he the founder of?
He's the co-founder of Evolution Fighting Championships. It's one of those, it's a high-level farm circuit event. And I mentioned farm circuit.
I just know he is a crazy, intense.
Dude, he is.
Cage announcer.
Wicked intense.
Wicked. So how do you know him?
So, I met Chris.
Say his last name again.
Chris Gerhardt.
Gerhardt.
Yeah, and that's how I know him. Chris, if I'm screwing it up, we'll square it away.
He'll call right now. When he calls right now, I guess we'll go direct phone because if we go that line, it's going to freaking, it just.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that
text or
connection.
nothing.
Yeah, there's no.
Gerhardt.
Chris
Tall,
Gerhardt.
dude, how tall is he? About 6'5"?
Oh, God, I want to say easy like 6'5", maybe even 6'6". Dude's super tall.
Has his own style. His
Yeah.
own charisma.
Yeah, his own
kick to
charisma.
it.
I met him, I want to say, it was when I was teaching. I had just come back from the whole staph infection surgery thing and the whole being paralyzed thing, and I was teaching at the time at an LA Boxing. It was in LA Boxing. Yeah, it was in LA Boxing at the time when I started teaching there. And he came along, I want to say, near like the tail end of me teaching there, because this was right before I went back to fighting. Like, I started training a lot, started training with the other guys, and then that's when I started to go back. And he was coaching and like almost like cross-managing kind of thing as well, and running box clubs. And then he moved. He was there for like years, and then he moved to, I want to say, Kansas. I think it was like Kansas, to be like to go open a title gym boxing club, like to go open one of those. So he made that decision, moved his family, all that stuff. Yeah, Gerhardt. So,
well, that's
he's a cool dude, though.
Well,
man.
that's
super
that's two in a row. Right off the intro, boom, you take a right hand and you keep going. You know what, I want to share something. I got an inbox on YouTube, but they did subscribe, so I appreciate that. They said, why do you guys call yourself the Kick Ass Podcast? Shouldn't the fans decide that?
Why would the fans decide the name
right,
of our show?
Right.
Show me a podcast whose fan has decided the name.
So you know what I said? I am a fan.
I would just be like, show me a list of high-rated podcasts that their fans named the show. I mean,
well, I didn't say what I really wanted to say, but I appreciate, he subscribed. And
I mean, it's constructive criticism.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's always good. I mean, I just think I could see where he's coming from. Like, you have the Fighter's Voice. That was the radio show that we started it.
Yeah.
You started that out as a radio show, and then we expanded with the podcast section. So, I mean, I can see him saying, well, okay. So from his perspective, it's probably like this. Like, why didn't you guys bring it up on the radio and say, hey, what should the name be?
That reminds me of when someone said, when we say the Fighter's Voice, and I've also the only voice that matters. Well, what do you mean you're the only one that matters? I mean, if someone was to ask me that, it is what it is. It's a slogan. It's catchy.
It's part of marketing for the name. That's all. It's just name brand markening is all it is.
Exactly, but he took it to another level.
But I can see his perspective, though. Like, because we already had the radio show going. So to add so it'd be like having a TV show and then having a spin-off.
Well, everybody's so-and-so podcast. So I just wanted to flip it a little bit.
Yeah.
The Kick-Ass Podcast.
And it rhymes. It's good. It flows.
It's working.
It's like,
and right now we're talking about him. We're giving him exposure. So that's what he wanted.
I mean, I can understand the constructive criticism, but it's you gotta.
I understand it. I respect it.
Brand control, man. Brand control.
Yes.
It's our, we conceived it, so it's
brand control.
Brand control.
Yeah. So I want to talk about later on about what your friend said, and I agree with him 100%. 100%.
On.
Yeah. What he said, I go, I know, and I said, man, I'm surprised. When I talked about my credit card, without going about I mean, because it costs to go cover these fights.
No, yeah, and no, it totally does. It's out of pocket. It's 100% out of pocket. So like the same, we got focused. Like we would get hotel, and if it was close, maybe gas money, and they would expect you to drive, or they'd fly you out.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
And they would say, wake up in the morning because they're giving away free breakfast.
Yeah, they would get
Basically,
you a hotel that had like a free continental breakfast in the morning. So they were like, so we got you breakfast.
Yeah.
And I could look at Pop and be like, really? He said they got us breakfast.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
you get those eggs that are uncooked.
Oh, yeah, dude. You'd find, we were like the savages of finding like the nearest liquor store, like 7-Eleven, or like if we were lucky, like a Vons or a Save Mart or something close. Because then you can get like cheap stuff, but like
Yeah.
at least like in bulk.
Yeah.
So you do that, but majority of your fights, I mean, unless they were out of town, you're there for maybe 2 days. You'd be there like maybe a day before weigh-ins, if not like day of
Again,
weigh-ins.
it's not a vacation.
Yeah,
Taking care of
it's-
100%
Yeah,
business.
exactly. It's not to be vacation. I think the one time I treated an out of town fight like a vacation, I got my arm snapped. So
No, you don't want to do that, man.
no.
Hey, our guest, he did pump you up. I didn't see that post. I saw it today and I shared it.
Oh, Chris,
He
yeah,
had
no,
nominated
he's
you as a badass.
yeah, no. I saw that, and I feel bad when I see those things because I've had a couple of those kind of things that people they share and they just want to involve
Yeah.
you and stuff, and I don't know when it comes to the social media stuff. I just because I'm not 100% sure if it's not a worm. It's you know what I mean.
Time consuming. Go with your gut.
It's not that it's time consuming, but my first concern is that there's so many fucking bullshit links online that people just willingly pass. Next thing you know, you've got a worm Trojan, you've got your shit
Bro,
hacked.
that's why
It's not fun.
I always call people or text and say, did you send me something?
Yeah, and I could do that too, but then I
Yeah.
don't participate because I don't, and this is nothing against anybody that's ever tagged me into that stuff. I don't like to force social media activity onto somebody else outside of the realm. Because the second I said that, people are like, what the fuck do you mean? You post all day.
Yeah.
But out of the realm of what I offer on my feed and you see it and you choose to
I don't
keep
mind
me there
being
or not.
within 1 of 5, but not 1 of 99. I'm good. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'll find it. I'll I know what's going on.
it's cool. It's. I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate being included, but I just don't like, and it's like Facebook, for example. Like when you get a new friend, it'll send them a thing on Messenger. It'll say hello. So when you see that meme where like that kid's all up in his face, like say hello, it's like, dude, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
It's like
Sometimes I
you're
don't trust
force
it.
feeding. Yeah.
Sometimes I don't trust it.
I think they're doing it because I don't know. I think it's a dying media
How many
platform.
times was I hacked? Hello?
Oh, geez.
Oh, you're on the phone now?
At least
You're part of the show.
At least 2 that I know of.
Yeah.
At least 2 that I know of. But I'm sure there was more that we'll call them undocumented hacks.
What's going on?
But dude.
I was terrible. It was a nightmare.
So okay. So I want to talk about that boxing incident.
Let's talk about it.
So that cat died from the brain trauma.
Yeah.
What I haven't seen anybody talk about, right there. KP, dude, you're just on money, dude.
yes,
He's just always on the spot.
All the time. All the time.
I've yet to see anybody really go over how the guy that fought him is what he's got to be going through,
Well,
too.
let me say something about Patrick Day. I just want to give my condolences to Patrick Day and his family, everybody that's part of the team. Actually, we got our guest calling right now. I'm gonna try plugging in right now. We'll see where we go.
Maybe it's because there wasn't a feed out. It was giving you the
Hello,
feedback.
how we doing?
Our gold.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Chris.
Hey, Chris,
What's
how you
up,
doing?
amigo?
Let me turn up the mic a little bit.
Hello?
Boom.
Yeah.
Chris, hey, before I introduce you, I don't want to chop up your name, man. How do you say your last name?
Hello.
How you doing, Chris? Chris?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, guys. What's going on?
Okay, we're gonna try something else. That's not working.
That's just
I
a
can't-
technical
I can't lose him.
difficulty. No, just give him a call back. He'll understand.
Sure, no, we'll do it.
Hello.
Hey, sorry about that, Chris. Kind of wire went bad.
Did it sound okay now? Are we good?
Oh yeah, you sound good.
Yeah, you go.
you sound
Flip
good.
it so the mic, the bottom.
So how do you pronounce your last name, Chris?
It's Gerhardt.
Gerhardt, because
Yeah.
me and Cole were going back and forth.
Yeah,
we
Gerhardt.
we finalized on Gerhardt, so we were
Gerhardt.
good. Yeah, we were good from the gold. But real quick, since we got you here, we'll include you in on this topic real quick, and then we'll kind of brief you in.
And give you a proper introduction.
Yeah, I'll give you a proper introduction real quick. But we were talking about that incident over the weekend where that boxer died from the brain trauma after his fight. And we were talking about his opponent and like what kind of state of mind he's got to be in, because he finds himself in a I mean, I don't want anyone to look at me and think I'm being unempathetic or just trying to capitalize on something.
He's going through some darkness himself.
Yeah,
definitely.
he's experienced something that very few fighters ever experience, because at the end of the day, people will say, "Oh, it's not your fault. It was this. It was
Exactly.
that." But at the end of the day, you're the dude that put hands on him. That at the end of the day, he died. Like at the end of the story, he died. So that's a very morbidly unique scenario that not many fighters find themselves in and don't want to ever find themselves in. That's just that's just, nobody ever wants that kind of outcome. But at the end of the day, it's a very unique scenario. So I just want to make sure that, like, I mean, more from a sense that people are like checking on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, somebody should be with him.
I agree.
He should be digesting this verbally. Like, he needs to get these thoughts out and what he feels like and all
Yeah.
that stuff, because that's the kind of stuff that if you just hold on to it, that's a, I don't know, that seemed like it'd be a pretty big skeleton to carry around with you.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of thing that can lead guys into depression or questioning their value as a fighter or their career choice in general. And at the end of the day, these guys, they're paid to go into the ring or to teach and hurt each other. I mean, that's the name of the game. They're trying to knock each other out, put each other down, and you know, sometimes those freak things happen. It's definitely a sad situation. I don't think anyone meant to actually kill each other, even though that language is used sometimes, you know, amongst fighters as a pre-fight, you know, hype and stuff like that. But very rarely do I think that the fighters actually mean to kill one another.
I don't even think it's a
certainly in
rarely.
this instance, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I don't even think it's as low as like a rarely scenario. Like, I think it's, I don't think I mean, I've seen guys that just like verbally say it in a press conference. They're like, I really want to break this dude's face. And sometimes it's like a Cerrone or like a Diaz or like a Masvidal or some guy that's just like, I really want to fuck him up. Like, I want to hurt his face.
Jones, DC.
Yeah, those
all
guys
the
are like,
above.
I just want to hurt you. I really want to rearrange his face. Like, they want to physically hurt each other, like, because that's the damage they want to do.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Cormier and Jones. You know, those guys really disliked each other. There was tons of true animosity. I've been around Daniel Cormier quite a few times, and his coaches, and I know that there's no love lost between those guys whatsoever.
Nah, by
but
any means.
When their each of them lost a parent, and those guys reached out to one another and were like,
Yeah.
you know, consoling one another. So true hatred and hurting each other is one thing, but the moment you talk about like a death and like a true end of life, I think that most people kind of bring that back. You know, there's you know, maybe Khabib and Conor, maybe they really wanted to kill one another. Like, I don't know. If they would even go
That, yeah, you know, after
but certainly
the
it's
post-fight
not-
thing.
I don't think it's ever an intent.
Yeah, now outside
very,
of that,
very, very
No.
rare.
and even then, that Khabib thing was like a heat of the moment kind
Well,
of thing.
even back in the days when my mic's kind of echoing. And back in the days when they went to war, they respected and they gave a day of mourning. I think they gave a 3-day mourning. No more war, but after 3 days, we're back at it.
Yeah, there was a ceasefire kind of thing,
yeah,
like bury your
exactly.
dead and then prepare for next battle.
Exactly.
Well, I like that.
So,
Hey,
so
hey-
do you guys think, this is just the question that I've thought for years, because I know, do you think that because of the rules and the equipment used in boxing versus like modern MMA, do you feel like maybe boxing has more of this type of thing happen? I mean, statistically, if anyone's ever looked into it, like, you'll see that there are substantially more boxing-related deaths per year than there are in mixed martial arts.
I think, and personally, I think there's a lot of things, and as there is in MMA, a lot of things that are overlooked. When I say overlooked, because the fight must go on. Some of these doctors that are doing reports, and I don't want to step on any toes or any of the above, but and I think it also has to do with the weight cut. It may not get you this fight. It may not get you this fight, but it's going to get you somewhere in your career. It's going to give you some concern.
Yeah, it's water. I mean, it's water out of the body, water out of the brain and the skull, and that's when, you know, where a lot of these like truly, you know, traumatic things happen. Is, you know, talking about brain damage typically.
So
I think a weight cut absolutely affects that. But weight cutting happens in both sports pretty much the same. You know, I would say there's minor differences there. What I think is probably the biggest difference in the two sports is the standing 8 count. You know, in MMA, there's a 1 second you can't defend yourself, the fight's going to be over. But in boxing, a guy can hit the turf multiple times, and as long as he can defend himself after 8 or 9 seconds, and in reality, it's probably more like 12 seconds. You know, when they get to that 8.
Yeah, by the time he turns
And,
around
you know,
and checks with his
they're
the
just on their
count.
feet with a concussion and going again. I think that's the real danger, and I don't know how you take that out of boxing. It's definitely part of the game. But,
that would be like a
I think
fundamental change to boxing.
It's all those rumors that you hear. Oh, hey, did you hear he was knocked out in sparring? Or did you hear he went down in sparring? No, he didn't.
Well,
that was a concussion going in. I'm not saying that's what it is, but there's a lot of that gets.
Yeah,
the show must go on.
Pre-existing damage where we found, I think in not this case, but I think there was like two or three like similar cases in recent couple of years where it turned out that like they had a pre-existing thing. So, but to expand on, like, you asked the question is, do we think the equipment leads to it at all? Not really, because you're not from a impact point, like square inches impact point, the boxing glove hits a larger portion, so you're kind of spreading that impact out over a larger section versus the MMA, like 3.5, 4 ounce glove, where it's hitting on a more concentrated impact, so you can do more damage with a square inch, per square inch impact point versus that big boxing one. It's kind of spread out. But the thing that I never see anybody really bring up, it's not an equipment thing. I think it's the fact that in boxing, you've got literally 1, 2, maybe 3 main targets, and the head's going to count for like 70 to 80% of your targeting for every punch thrown. So
you can only punch in the head and the body.
Exactly. Right. MMA, you can do head, body,
submission,
legs, submissions, anything. You could break an arm, fights over, never took a punch.
That's just the difference of rules. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
It's a rules difference. Yeah,
it's an unfortunate, and I'm not being cold-hearted at all. It's an unfortunate incident, but things happen in life. In driving a car, baseball, and getting hit with a 100-mile-per-hour baseball, lights out. You're blind, and what have you. My heart goes out to the family.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think the whole community feels that way.
But like I said, I don't think it's an equipment thing so much as it is a target availability thing. I think you just take so much more damage to the head continuously. And like you said, with the standing 8 count, yeah, you can get racked and drop like a sack of potatoes, and you get up and you might be cool because you're just a badass. You might just fight through it, but you might literally have a concussion already in place.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like
look, like the fight that happened fairly recently that really sticks out is, look at Tyson Fury and Wilder when they fought. The way that Tyson Fury got knocked down at the end of the fight, he looked like he died. Like, he got knocked down hard and somehow got up and then proceeded to win the round. Like, it was an absurd thing to happen, but in MMA, that would have been a cold knockout.
Yeah, fight would have been over.
I think there's an immune system there.
Yeah, it was a very impressive show of toughness by Tyson Fury, and I don't know how many other people on this earth could have done that. But that's not the norm. Like, normally a guy goes down like that. If they're on their feet, they're about to get knocked down again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exactly.
So I'd like to take this a step further because now we're seeing popularity in what I guess you would call a new sport, or maybe a retro sport, which is the bare knuckle boxing. Are we going to see similar things like what just happened in a bare knuckle situation, or do you think because there's no gloves and hands are so much easier to break that maybe we're not going to see? Clearly there's going to be more cuts and more blood.
There's definitely going to be more cuts, but
and faces are going to be more rearranged. But is it theoretically possible that it's actually safer? In
a scientific approach,
it is.
It is, because you're taking, because people say, well, you sell a small glove, smaller pinpoint. Yeah,
you're not taking a beating.
Well, it's not that. It's that your skull is stronger than most people's hands, generally speaking.
What's the golden saying when somebody stops? When they get knocked out one punch. Well, at least he didn't take a beating for 3 rounds.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a big difference. I think that kind of slides over, not to cut you off, with the bare knuckle, because you're going to take a shot and that's going to be it, as opposed to taking 5 shots you don't need to.
You're going to just take one on the chin, and there's no padding, there's no cushioning. You're taking all that impact. Like LeVar puts a hand on your chin. Good night. Yeah. So you're seeing that, but you're not seeing as much damage coming with it. It's almost like it's the hand is softer than the skull, so it's going to break your hand first, but you're going to have a softer touch to that night button, but you're still going to hit it, but you're not going to break the PC when you hit it. You're just going to hit it and have to hit it a little hard, and it'll do, but you might break your hand.
That's the history of the glove in general, is they wanted to create a club because guys were breaking their hands and they wanted to fight more often. So they made a glove, and then the sport got a little
and that's when people start hitting harder and things like that, because you might pull your punch a little bit because you're like, dude, I'm not trying to break this fucking hand again. I broke it like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So you're going to try to hit hard, but maybe not that hard. And then now you got gloves. Now dudes are swinging you got Lawlers swinging for the fucking fences, like a barn burner ball. You got Cerrone swinging for the fences. So I think that actually, from a scientific approach based on the pounds per square inch on impact and the fact that the hands are softer than the skull, dudes are going to go down easier than taking 4 or 5 punches, where they might have taken like 5 to 6 punches on the jaw with gloves until they finally got that one clip. Take Pat Barry and Chet Congo. Take that fight, for example. that's a perfect example of how that just shit roller coasters. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, dude, I'd be on the side of fence, as crazy as it sounds.
Loud, George Foreman.
Yeah, exactly. They are both wobbly leg, but they're still punching each other.
Exactly.
I think it might, statistically, might be safer. Like, the cuts for sure, no. You're gonna have dudes that are gonna come out of that fucking sport fugly.
Like, because I like it, and we're talking about. I know we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but we're talking about it with my fight promotion that I run with my guys, and it just recently got sanctioned in the state of Kansas, where we're where we mostly promote out of, and we've thrown around the idea, and my internal concern is that these guys, when you see the way they look after the fights, I just can't see as entertaining as it is to watch, and I do enjoy watching it. I'm not gonna lie. I am concerned about the longevity of a career for a guy in that sport. Like, I don't know how a guy could stay and have, a guy like Cerrone, and you look at the numbers that he's put up, and, guys that have 40, 50 bouts.
Plus fights,
How are you going to have 40 or 50 bare-knuckle bouts, and what if you do, what are you going to look like at the end of the
I
don't see that happening.
You're going to look like slop,
look to the days back in the days when they first started boxing in the barns and in the rings and stuff, and just kind of, that would be how I'd say you'd be able to gauge it. Because if you had dudes that they've got 100+ fights, and it was all that bare knuckle shit back in the day when combat fighting for prize fighting kind of started, then I would say, dude, that's where you're going to get your data from. Yeah. So I don't see, but here's the thing is, I don't see longevity, not in the sport. I think the sport will have to, we were talking about Valor the other day. The problem that anybody starting a promotion in this organization field now, this new genre, is that you're going to have a firestorm, a snap firestorm of organizations starting up, and there's only a limited market of fighters you can use, and everyone's starting to get locked up real quick, and everybody knows it. So I would say the sport is a longevity. Yeah, exactly. So I would say the sport as a longevity itself has legs, because it's going to be, I think it'll be good. It'll be entertaining. I think that's where you're going to get a lot of guys that maybe they're kind of done with MMA, but they're not quite done fighting.
It's going to be like war, man.
Oh, dude,
you're going to lose some, and then you got to recruit again. You got to constantly keep the ball going, constantly recruit, constantly, okay, where are you at in your career? Hey, I got some fights for you that are probably up your alley. We're talking about boxers in general. Anybody that's willing to compete in the sport, it's like a second coming. It's like reinventing yourself, and you got another opportunity. It's not grappling, it's not boxing, it's bare knuckle.
Yeah, if you're a striker, totally.
And if, you mentioned some of the ex-fighters, and what I've noticed, at least as far as the national attention-grabbing bare knuckle fights that we've seen, pretty much all of them have been, they've used ex-UFC, ex-boxers, ex-MMA guys. I mean, the most recent one that was probably, in your neck of the woods that got a lot of attention was Lamar Johnson fighting for Ken Shamrock. What a performance he had, right?
Yeah, he had a stellar performance.
To see Lamar, get back in there and put someone to bed real quick.
Yeah, that fight took all of 45 seconds.
It was awesome to watch.
No,
I would not want to catch one of Lamar's punches.
It is good, but the sport I think has longevity. I think what'll happen is in the next year, it'll start shrinking down on the amount of promotions there are, because people will start losing fights. Right. I would say the best. I mean, this is just my opinion, though. I would say the better off to do would be just take advantage of how popular the sport is right now. Toss a couple bare knuckle matches on a card that you already have existing. Draw in that extra crowd of who might not have come to the show because they're just interested in bare knuckle now. That's all they want to watch now.
So it's exactly what we're going to do. Is we have what we do right now is a mixture of professional and amateur kickboxing and MMA fights. Everything's inside of a cage. And the Athletic Commission has approved bare knuckle for the state of Kansas now, but it doesn't get adopted until 4 days after our event that's coming up this weekend. So we initially had one bare knuckle fight on the card that we had to scrap because, and it was going to be our main event, of course, but it got scrapped because even though they approved it months ago, the state won't adopt it for competition until October 24th or something. So we barely missed it, but I think that's what we're going to do because, like you just said, it's an ability to grab audiences from different demographics in the area. Some people might prefer kickboxing. Some people might prefer MMA. Some people might just want to see a slobber knocker, and so bare knuckle is going to be up their alley. But That's how we're going to
That's
test
smart.
it. We're not gonna at any point do a full-on bare knuckle promotion. We're just gonna
Integrate it in.
introduce
Yeah, you're just
some of
kind
it
of
and see what the crowd
adding
thinks.
it to what you're
And,
already
you know,
doing.
If it goes well, maybe we have 3 or 4 fights instead of just 1, or if it doesn't go well, we can lose it all together, and our brand is still there.
No, I think that's the perfect approach. You've already been doing it anyway. You're just being given a new toy to add to your guys' toolbox, kind of, so to speak.
Exactly. We're just playing a new game.
Well, you don't want to get left behind either. Everybody's wearing the new shoes, and now it's your turn to wear the new shoes and experiment with them.
And that's sort of what drove the decision, Cole, is that we saw that the commission approved it. We saw all these events going on, pay-per-view and stuff, and we knew because the commission approved it, someone was going to come into our backyard and put on a fight. So we're going to be able to do it, but we can do it, testing the waters and not, hey, let's put on 14 bare knuckle fights.
Not a whole card.
And grab all these guys and spend all this money and have no idea what the crowd's going to look like and how many. We already know there's 2,000 plus people that love MMA that are going to be at that show. I don't know how many people are going to love coming and will never miss a bare knuckle fight, because I think everyone likes the idea of it, but you guys have seen when you go to the gym or when you go to the fight and you sit up close and all the smacks become real and the blood gets on your shirt and all this other stuff, it's not for everyone. It really isn't.
When you got a Gallagher style, the curtain up in front of you before the show.
Exactly. But what I do want to do, I want to change it up a little bit. Those of you that are joining us right now, we have, you prefer to be called ring announcer or cage announcer?
Ring announcer's fine. I think it's just a more traditional term, but yeah, that's fine.
And that is your title, or founder or co-owner of your brand?
So I'm 3 things. I'm co-founder, co-owner with 2 other guys named David the Caveman Rickles, who is the Bellator record holder for most fights in Bellator history. He's the king of Kansas. He's a very accomplished fighter. And then another guy named Steve Hansen, who's a good friend of ours and someone that trained with us as well.
So those that don't know exactly what's going on, tell us from how you made the transition.
Okay, so I guess let's talk about how I know you guys and maybe some of your listeners, maybe be more familiar with this. So back in, what was this? I've been gone seven years probably since I lived in the Central Valley area, and that's where I got started ring announcing. Actually, it's kind of a story about Jasper Tayaba. If you guys remember Jasper. So I had this dream years ago when I was in college that I wanted to be a commentator for the UFC. I thought Mike Goldberg sucked, and I was like, man, I've trained. I know what's going on.
Have it.
I have a broadcasting degree, and
awesome.
My goal was to be a commentator for MMA, and everyone thought I was crazy because the sport was still very young, and this is pre Ultimate Fighter days. So I got a lot of skeptical looks, and hey, there's no jobs there, and I said, well, I don't care. This is what I want to do. So that has always been my goal. And then when I moved to California, I had been working for a company called Title Boxing and Title MMA, and ended up becoming like a sort of a major account guy / research and development marketing guy for them. And basically I was doing grassroots campaigns all over the state of California. I was driving to gyms, training with people, introducing them to this stuff, and making a lot of friends and getting to train with a lot of great guys, including Cole. And he showed me some excellent additions to my triangle specifically. And
got long
Cole,
legs, man.
To this day, you're the only.
Yeah.
I got to throw a Cole Escobedo story out real quick. The only guy I've ever trained with that taught a jiu-jitsu class in denim jeans. I don't know if you remember that. I don't think you were scheduled to teach, but no one showed up and you were just like, oh, I'll do it.
Held it up.
Yeah, I think I showed up to just say hi that night or something, and they were like, hey, the guy's sick or something happened or didn't show, and I was like, okay.
That's the only time in my life I've ever been triangled with jeans on, so that's one for you, man.
Nice, I'll take it.
So anyways, so a couple of my training partners knew about my ambition to be a commentator, and years ago there was a show called War Gods. You guys remember War Gods?
Yeah, they did a show at
I did
something.
some commentary. Yeah, exactly. So I did some commentary for War Gods, and those were like my first couple of gigs. I ended up getting some War God gigs, and then a couple months go by, they kind of defunct, and they go out, and Jasper. I was at training one day, and Jasper's like, hey, Chris, I need commentator for a show. You want to commentate? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Yeah,
sounds about right.
You said it just like that, huh?
Sounds about right.
And there's a little language barrier.
Would Jasper? No.
Jasper, because so I'm going out to this. I go out to this show in the middle of nowhere, California, and I get there, and there's no production equipment anywhere. I don't see any cameras. I don't see. It's an outdoor show, and there's just. I go and find some staff, and I'm like, hey, where's the production guy, so I can figure out where he wants me to go. And the promoter comes over, and he's like, commentators? Shit, I don't need a commentator. I need a ring announcer. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, well, where's Jasper? He told me he needed a commentator.
So there was the language barrier.
He's like, yeah, Chris, you commentate, yeah? And I'm like, I guess. And as you guys know, like, those are two very different jobs.
Yeah, very different.
One is like breaking down what's happening in the fight and talking about what, the techniques that are being applied and stuff. And then the other thing is just straight hype. You just get out there and you yell someone's name real good and you try to energize the crowd. And, I wasn't prepared for that, to be honest. I had no preparation. I hadn't thought about it. I didn't even dress in the right way, in my opinion. So I start doing the show. I'm already there. The guy's like, look, man, I don't got anybody else. You want to do the gig? It pays the same. You want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So
you got to love the accent he throws out, though. I don't need a commentator. I need a ring announcer.
That'll work.
He may or may not have been a farmer. I don't know. so
something got fed.
So what happened is I kind of sucked, to be honest. I feel like I'm terrible at first. I'm nervous as hell. And Mike Moreno happened to be at the show, and Mike, who's a friend of mine, was like, Chris, why are you so nervous? Are you fighting? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, just these people don't know you. Just have some fun. And as soon as Mike said that to me, man, it totally changed how I was approaching everything. I started to relax. I started to go into, I would describe, autopilot mode. And I just started, just after the tens of thousands of times I've seen Bruce Buffer announce someone, I just kind of went into that mode, and it started to come out good. And I started to, feel the crowd, and then it picked up, and someone in the crowd saw me, and after the show, he came up and he said, hey, man, good job out there. And I kind of looked at him like, what are you talking about? Oh, okay, thanks. And he's like, how long have you been doing this? And I'm like, shit, man, that's my first time. and he laughed, and he said, oh, well, I'm doing a show in Fresno next month. You want to do it again? And I said, I live in Fresno. Sweet.
Who was it, Jason?
That's how it started. It was Jason, yeah. It was Jason Weiner.
Yeah, dude. I fucking Weiner. Yeah, it's Jason Weiner. Yeah, he spent some good time in promotions.
Jason was the guy that intentionally hired me to be a ring announcer, and then I came to his show prepared, did much better, and then that's just been a constant thing since then. So this would have been. Man, I'm thinking it had to have been 2010,
2010, 20, somewhere in that range.
I did a couple of years of that, and then I ended up moving to Kansas, where I'm from originally, and I opened a franchise kickboxing place called Title Boxing Club. Like I mentioned earlier in the story, I've been working for Title for a number of years, and these guys have talked to me about, operating a gym and what that was like, and I honestly didn't really feel anywhere near qualified enough to run my own gym at this point. But my family had been talking about wanting to make this investment. My younger brother wanted to get involved, and another friend of mine wanted to get involved. But they pretty much all just said, "Hey, man, we really need you to be the guy." And so ultimately, through some family discussions and things like that, I decided to pull up and move to Kansas, and started coaching for a while. And while I was at Title, operating this business, I started making more connections, and I came across Dave Rickles, who I already knew and had trained with and been friends with previously. But we got together, and so here's how EFC started. If you guys want to hear the goofy story that this is.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm in Kansas. I'm operating Title. I do a lot of private lessons for people with kickboxing instructions or whatever. And I have a client named Steve, and Steve had seen me ring announce at another show out there. I was doing my stuff in the Midwestern circuit at this point, and he liked what I did, and he kept trying to talk to me about starting a fight promotion. He's like, "Man, you're so good. This guy that's hiring you, their show sucks. Like, you should be in a better show. Like, let's start a fight promotion." And I'm like, Steve, I don't know, man. I'm just a ring announcer. I don't have time for that. I'm trying to run this gym. Like, that sounds cool, but I don't think so. And Steve also trained with Dave Rickles. And unbeknownst to me, Steve and Dave would train together sometimes, and they would have a very similar conversation. Steve would be like, "Hey, Dave, we should start the fight promotion." And Dave's like, "Oh, I'm a fighter. I don't really have time. I don't know anything about it. I just, I'm a fighter. I'm not a promoter. I don't know." So, anyways, this goes on for a while. I don't know, a couple months, something like that. And then eventually, Dave and I get together and we're training, and we start talking about just everything, whatever. And then Steve comes up, and we're like, "Man, fucking Steve keeps bugging me about doing this fight promotion thing." And the other guy looks at the other one and was like, "He's talking to you about that too, really?" And then we started realizing that Steve had been talking to both of us separately about the same idea. And then we kind of had the aha moment, like, hold on.
Okay.
This might be something.
So let me back up and explain Steve for a second. So Steve, by day, is an accountant. So Steve is organized. Steve is thorough. Steve is everything that Dave and I are not, basically. So we realized, hold on, now we have a fighter with tons of contacts and credentials and has his name and reputation in all the gyms all around. So he could be our matchmaker, which he is. I'm the ring announcer, the sales guy, the sponsor, reach out to talk to you, schmoozer guy. And Steve is the guy that, dotted the I's, crossed the T's, could get all the contracts done and keep it balanced, budget and everything. And so all of a sudden we realized, holy shit, we have a perfect storm. We've got the organized guy, the authentic guy, and then the sales guy. We actually have a good strategy now.
Good team.
So that's sort of how EFC came to be. It was an accident, but a beautiful one. This would have been, so we formed EFC. Our first show was August of 2014, and we're about to do our 13th show on October 19th, and started out in a pretty small, like 1,000 person venue. We sold the show completely out 3 days in advance of the show.
Nice.
Show number 2, interesting story here. We actually had Dana White come to our second show.
Wow.
There was you guys can see this was a total lucky, just circumstantial thing, but still cool. There was a YouTube series for a while that was called Dana White Looking for a Fighter. You guys familiar with that?
Yeah. That was like his take on it.
If you look up the episode, I don't remember what episode it was, 3 or 4. They came to Kansas, and we were the show that they came to.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't make us look great, honestly, but TV magic and all that. But it was still hella cool to be like, Dana White bought tickets to this show, and it's like our second show. Like, how is this even happening?
Yeah.
No, that's good for your second show.
That was a lucky thing too. Like, one of my partners was in Las Vegas for a work thing, and he just cold called the UFC offices, and he went in there and gave him like a tape of our first show, and said, "Oh, here's our next show." Like, we had zero expectation. And then someone from the UFC called us back. We thought it was a joke at first, but then they started talking to us about security measures and things, and we just happened to line up with the fact that Dana had never been to Kansas and wanted to come to Kansas, and the date happened to fall in between some UFC events, so there was no fight that they had that night, and they had seen 2 of our guys previously that they were thinking about bringing onto the UFC, so he ended up coming out with Matt Serra and a guy named Nick the Tooth, and they sat cage side and watched some scraps.
Yeah, that's a good, when you talk about perfect storms, just building the promotion, like that was like a right place, right time kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
everything was just falling in place.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we had a really important mission, and I think a lot of guys that are not million or billionaire type people have to sort of have this idea to even go into this sort of a business, but our mission statement from very day one was that we were going to build a promotion that was meant to create a platform for local talent to go to Bellator and the UFC. We knew we didn't have billion-dollar budgets, and that we were never had the ambition of being a competition for those guys. But what those businesses need are feeders. They need promotions that can give guys experience and put them up into those ranks at some point. And I think in 13 shows we've had over a dozen of our fighters at Bellator, and one guy just recently was on the Dana White's Contender Series, and he lost in the last 10 seconds in a flash knockout situation, but he was about 10 seconds away from, I think, making a UFC contract as well. So we've got some really, really good guys that have come up through the show, and what we did is we threw we got a whole bunch of sponsors. We have great sponsors, and we built a show that has all the lights, all the cameras, all the production value of a bigger show, so that when these guys fight for us and then they get to that next level, they don't shit their pants. They've walked down a tunnel before. They've had a camera follow them before.
It's not a bad idea.
Bright lights and thousands of people.
It's a good way to prep yourself for the big stage.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Instead of a little ballroom with 400 people, and it feels like a smoker.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. You're kind of exposing them to that idea of having a large crowd and all that stuff, so that it doesn't deer in headlights kind of thing.
If we're comparing it to Major League Baseball, we're trying to be AAA ball. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're not the majors, but we're like that second run down.
I see what you're saying.
And
You want to be top tier farm circuit kind of approach.
That platform is working.
Yeah.
It's working.
So far, man, it's been a tremendous honor to be part of that. And I don't really have a catchphrase per se, but if I did, I'd say it's honor these warriors. I always like to say honor these warriors, and that's what I try to do when I go out there and I perform. Yeah. I mean, I've been in the gym with a lot of those guys. I know how much time and effort it takes to prepare for what they're about to do, and the last thing I ever want to see is some asshole with a microphone go out there and say their name wrong or say their hometown wrong.
Yeah.
They deserve the respect. And I think the crowd feels that. They feel that energy. They feel that that honor and respect that I'm trying to give the fighter, and it helps everything. I think the fighters perform better. I think the crowd gets more into it, and I think I hate to say I stole it, but I stole that idea from Bruce Buffer, because if you look at all the ring announcers in the world, and if you've been to those shows, there really is no one else like Bruce. He is so much more electric as a ring announcer than anyone else. Other guys sound as good as he does, or have the voice like he does, but he has an energy level that's just so hard to replicate. And he's been definitely my biggest muse that I try to emulate as much as possible, because his energy level's through the roof. I mean, Cole, you got to fight in the UFC a few times. Was Bruce your announcer?
Yeah, no, the dude's intense. Like, it's super cool. Like, getting to hear him yell your name is just, it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's
sure
cool.
it is. No, he's different from the rest, and he definitely uses a lot of energy. He's in there with the fighters. He takes it. He's passionate about it, and he gives it his all. Especially that main event. Chris, I want to ask you this: as a ring announcer, how do you prepare yourself? How do you prep yourself? I'm talking about going through the blue corner, the red corner, getting the itinerary, and then finally putting that switch on. What hypes you up the most?
So what hypes me up the most is just being in the cage, man. I mean, it's a dream come true. Like I said, I thought about it for a long time. I went to college with this ambition to do something along these lines, and just living that dream, man. It's all the mojo I need, honestly. As far as preparation goes, it's funny how that's changed. When I started, especially that first show, they didn't have stats or shit for anybody. So basically I had to, and I did this for the first several years. And still to this day, if I work for a new promoter and they're not organized, or it's just a smaller show or something, this still happens where I get there several hours before the show, and I go to each fighter individually. I meet them. I have a pen and note cards, and I get all their information right from the guy. So I say, hey, what's your name? What's your height, weight? Where are you fighting out of? All the general stats that you want to list when introduce a fighter.
Yeah.
And so I do it, and I do it for two reasons. Number one is I need to get that information so I have something to say, right?
Right.
But I also do it because like I mentioned earlier, I really feel like it's important, and that the fighter deserves the respect of their name being said correctly, and that the area that they're from is represented correctly. And if I get a piece of paper with a name on it and it's Russian or some shit, and I don't know how to say it, like I need to go talk to not some other guy that doesn't know how to say it. I need to go talk to that guy's name and ask him, hey, how do you say it? And then I write it out phonetically, so it doesn't matter how it's spelled. I just want to say it right.
Exactly.
And
the way it sounds.
It comes out the right way, and it's been a really important part of my shtick. And I found a critical component to regional shows specifically is that sometimes people don't know all the fighters, right? Like, not all these guys are saying this, right?
Right.
But oftentimes they're from the same city as one of these fighters. So if they don't know Jack from John, but I say their hometown, all of a sudden they're cheering for someone, you know?
Yeah.
So I just made it a point to have those two things specifically, like, really highlighted in an introduction, because that's what will get the crowd to go into it. Because, again, regional shows, either they know a fighter and they're there to see a specific person that sold them a ticket, which is the most likely thing, or they're just huge MMA fans, and then, hey, that guy's from my town, so I'm rooting for him.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, we went
And
nuts the first
I think
time.
if I stay on those two things, I usually get a pretty good reaction.
Okay. Well, when do you put the switch on? When you're inside the cage? How much prep time do you need?
I put the switch on the moment I put the tuxedo on. I would have to say, if I had to, because you know, again, it's different because I ring announce for other promotions, and for them, the job is much easier. I just go out, I meet the guys, I say a couple things. It's a few hours of one day, and that's all I got to do. Maybe 2 days from there to weigh-in. As a fight promoter, totally different story, because now I'm like helping assemble the cage, I'm tearing stuff down, I'm dealing with 1,000 other little details that pop up throughout the day with tickets and with fighters and with, you know, weight cut issues and the athletic commission and, you know, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot more to it as a promoter than there is as just a performer. So when it's my show with Dave and Steve, you know, our show, I definitely have to put that switch on a little sooner. But I'm usually in, like, more casual, like, you know, might have to fix the cage type clothes.
Right.
But when I go right, you know, a couple hours, maybe 2 hours before first fight or something like that, I'll go put on the tuxedo. And I think once, like, that appearance has been set, I'm a totally, you know, now I'm Chris the ring announcer guy. I'm a different guy for a few hours.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's similar with the fighters. You know, I think if you see the fighters backstage, most guys, they're very relaxed and nonchalant and they're chill.
Yeah.
And then they get their hands wrapped. And if you watch a guy get his hands wrapped, almost always their music is on and their eyes are focused on their hands and they're just squeezing them and they're looking at them and they're thinking about the damage they're about to do or the damage they're trying to avoid. Either one. But I think there is a moment of switch come on, and it almost always happens when the gear starts to go on. I think that's the moment.
Wow, and there you are. I mean, you went there to go commentate, and then you became a ring announcer, and that door was open, and as they say, the rest is history.
Yep.
The rest is history.
Yep.
No, thanks for letting me pick your brain a little bit, man. And you know, there's some other people out there, and they want to hear your preparation, when you turn it on, what you go through, and how you got to create your own itinerary when they're not there, and all these changes on the fly. 8 fighters come down to number 2. Number 2 is now in the blue corner instead of the over and over again. And I just wanted to hear how your day was a fight night.
Yeah, man, it's very interesting. And if there's anyone listening that has ambitions of becoming a ring announcer, a commentator, or whatever, the advice I would give them, number one, is don't make that about you, man. The show is not about you. It's about the athletes and the fans. Yeah. And if you go out there and you highlight the athletes for the fans, you'll be really good. And if you go out there and you check your appearance every 30 seconds and you're wondering how good you sound, how good you look, and you know, all that's, you know, what your priorities are, I mean, I don't do it that way, and I wouldn't recommend someone else do it that way. I think if you start doing that, it's hard to get someone else to want you to be part of their show. And it's a very tough thing to break into. I mean, there's only so many promotions, and there's only so many events, and there's a lot of older guys than me doing it, and they've been doing it, and they're still doing it. And, you know, if you're trying to come up with no experience, you know, it's a weird thing just with any job, right? Like, everyone wants to hire someone with experience, but how do you get a job if you don't have experience? Like, you just have to have those lucky moments, and you have to be willing to step up when opportunity knocks. You know, and I think that's true in pretty much all walks of life. If you have a big dream and you want to do something, you have to prepare for it as much as you can, and then when your opportunity finally shows up, you tackle that and you choke the shit out of it.
There you go. Embrace it.
Dude, I told you, he's intense.
A triangle.
You have to.
A triangle. Hey, let me help you out now. And I know you go through this stress with fighters and promoters. If you got a fighter and he can't make it, I'll pay for Cole Escovedo's flight down there. He'll fill in. He still has it. He'll pass the CAT scan. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
He's ready. He's ready to go.
Man, if Cole would ever want to come down to a show, I would love to have him as a special guest or
There
just
you
as
are.
a friend. Or I mean, if he'd want to fight, dude, absolutely. But, I can see Cole.
Oh,
I
man.
can see Cole being a fantastic commentator or someone with the
definitely would.
experience and the world class abilities that he has. And Cole, I've told you this many times over the years. You really are one of the most inspiring athletes I've ever met. You
Well,
have
thank
an
you.
incredible
I can hear
story.
everything, Tippy. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Cole's a
are
badass.
He is a badass.
He's fire, man.
It's yeah, dude, and people don't realize how good of a fighter you are. I've seen you, not only fight in the cage, but even in training. Like, you're just such a dangerous guy. I remember
Thank
one
you.
time we were at PMA, I want to say, and Doug Marshall started messing around with you, just like play joking, kind of like tackled you and was trying to mess with you.
You didn't like it? Cole didn't like it?
This is like WEC champion.
Dude,
Doug Marshall.
yeah, this is Doug's gonna
this
see
is
this
not
and be
like
like,
Doug
dude.
on a bad day type Doug. This is a good, still active beast ass Doug the Rhino Marshall, and Cole made short work of him. And
Yeah, it was.
again, it was playful. It wasn't a real fight, but
you let him know.
it was like, as a guy trying to learn, watching two of like my heroes like fuck around and seeing Cole just take care of business. I was like, man, that was awesome.
In Doug's defense, that was he hadn't quite started his ground game yet. In Doug's defense, yeah, Doug will see this and be like, Cole, why don't you come out and train at Elite next weekend, man? I'd love to have you out. I'd be like, damn.
Bad moment, bad timing for Doug.
No, yeah, that was
and
way back in the day.
And Rhino, he wasn't like hammer fist in your face.
No,
right?
yeah, exactly. He wasn't like, he could have been
crushed.
crushing me and stuff. But no, that was fun. That was in the attic. That was, we used to call it the attic. It was the
you have-
upstairs.
You remember.
Did Cole have his jeans on? Cole had the jeans
I don't
on,
know,
right?
Maybe.
Oh man, no, but dude, let me look into it. I got 2 jobs that I got to get time off for, but let me look into that. I got something I'm using some time off for in early November. But then after that, let me look into. We'll have to talk about when your next shows are throughout the year, and maybe early January or something, and see about coming out and doing some
we try to
commentating.
do them every quarter or
Okay.
so. And it seems like we actually hit more like 3 a year. It seems
Okay,
like there's
cool.
Like usually like an early.
Then that
early
gives us
part the
tons
year
of time.
Show, then there's like a July show, and then we try to do one in October. And October tends to be our biggest.
Oh yeah, dude, that gives us tons of time to
whatever.
set up some like commentary gig or something to come out and be part of your
We
show.
won't do another show till probably March.
Oh yeah,
something
dude,
like
that's
that.
tons of time. We can totally make that happen. I'd love to come out and do some commentary with you guys.
And Chris, just so you know,
man,
I'm Cole's agent. So you know what I mean.
Why don't you guys get me to California, man? I miss it out there. It's fun.
Well, I was about to
love-
say
I
that
love
next
California.
time you got to come in person. We'll make it worthwhile. We'll make sure
That's
maybe
what
a
I'm saying, man.
combate
That's what-
event. We'll get you inside the corral.
Oh, that
Yeah,
would
man,
be
come
cool.
Yeah.
Like when they're
out
doing
there,
Save
I'll
March Center again.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, that would be cool. Mikey would be down for that. We like, dude, we would just
Yeah.
show him some of your footage and be like, dude, we got this guy.
Yeah.
This is the ring announcer that you should use for your Fresno shows. And
All his
dude,
energy, all the energy that you got.
dude, yeah,
man.
they would love you, bro.
Well, dude, I think I hate to say that this would be the case because it sounds arrogant, but I think if I were to come back, I might sell tickets just because I'm back in Fresno or something.
Dude, yeah, that'd be fun. People would come just to come hang out with you and watch you.
That's
be
the
in town.
marketing.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
mean,
marketing
I don't know
in
how
you, man.
many people it would be, but maybe.
I'm telling you, man.
I would love to see all you guys, man. Because I mean, since Fresno, I've moved a couple places. I moved to Wichita, Kansas. Was there for 5 years. Sold my gym. Moved to Boston, and it was in Boston for a full year. Learning and training and working at another place. And then now I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. And
Okay.
so it's just I kind of traveled around
On the
been to a couple
move.
different gyms and seen some other things. But
Spread
yeah,
your
man,
network,
it's
man.
an incredible experience, and I'm definitely. The reason I bring all that up is because I know when I was like 8, and I'm a West Coast person at heart. Like that's my people, man. That's my speed. That's
There you are.
that's
Team
the area
Diaz.
where I've always felt drawn is the West Coast, and nothing against the Midwest. The Midwestern people are amazing. The East Coast people. I got to touch on this too because I told some people from Boston I was going to do this tonight, and if they're listening, I'd love them to know this is how I truly feel. Boston gets a bad rap, man. People think the East Coast, there's this rudeness to it, and I can tell you when I lived out there, it couldn't have been further from the truth. I thought the people in the North Shore of Boston were exceptionally welcoming and nice. And I went out there with no family or anything besides my wife and kids, so I didn't know a lot of people yet. And I felt like I made lifelong type friends out there in a very short period of time because everyone was so friendly and welcoming.
And warm.
New York City, I think, deserves its reputation a little more than Boston, man. I think Boston specifically is an excellent place.
Yeah.
Actually,
sounds all right.
Pete Lopes is from Boston.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Pete Lopes from Boston. Now
He's probably got
residing in Las Vegas.
similar
No,
things to say.
he's always said that Boston was warm, very warm, and very opening. They
Welcoming.
embrace it. Yeah, exactly. They embrace
Yeah,
it.
I mean, they drive like assholes, but they're nice out of the car.
Nice. All right, Chris, dude, we appreciate you come on. Before we let you go and get back to your life that's like 1,000 man jobs,
Yes.
where can they check out your upcoming fight? When is that going to be?
Oh, thank you, man. Yes. So we are live on pay-per-view Saturday night. It's called Fight.tv, FIGHT.tv. They can also go to our website, which is EFC or Evolution Fighting Championship, EFCfight.com. We've really tried to make a difference in the weight cutting thing. You guys talked about that earlier. The reason we chose the name Evolution is because we wanted to introduce, and we have introduced, new weight classes. We go every 10 pounds, so we go 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, 95.
I'm curious to look
wow.
at the data on that and what kind of changes and effect you guys think you've seen in that.
The number one thing is that the fighters are happier. I mean, guys that are, especially when you get into those higher weights, you're looking at 170, jumps up to 185. There's
That's a
lot of guys
15-pound
that would
difference.
175, and there's in the 70 to 55 jump. That's tough, man. Because guys are they can make 70 easy, but they have to die to make 55. So 65 sounds pretty good.
It's a big jump.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd have a lot more natural weight class fights.
Yeah, well, and it just doesn't make any sense, man. Like, why do we have every 10 pounds in the smaller weight classes, and the moment we get into the bigger guys, we
Start
make
jumping.
a larger gap? I think initially that it was that way because the talent pool gets thinner as the guys get bigger, right? But nowadays, the MMA community is so much stronger. There's so many more talented fighters out there that we didn't have any problems making it happen. And again, at a local, regional level, there's catchweight bouts that happen all the time. It happens all the time. So why not just let the guys know ahead of time? Because what sucks is this is what happens. And Cole, I know you know this happens. You've seen it at the regional level a lot, and probably even at the big level. Two guys sign a contract. They agree to a fight. Let's say at 170. One guy does everything he has to, kills himself. He makes weight. He comes in at 169. Other guy isn't as in shape or doesn't do it to the same level or misses or doesn't time it right or whatever. He's got an excuse. And now he comes in at 176. And these two guys want to fight, but it's too big of a gap. Now there's a problem, and the fight's not going to happen. And one guy's pissed because he made the weight, and the other guy's mad because he didn't say anything, and he didn't have to cut the weight and blah, blah, blah. So what we did, as a promoter, you want to make the fight happen because you have people coming to watch it, right? You don't want to lose a bout because someone missed weight. That sucks. So what we realized is, let's up front make those weights the weights that those guys can hit. So then they have an easier time cutting weight, or there's just an easier agreement to make the right weight for the right fight. And
you're kind of helping eliminate the problem.
I think very much the fighters like it. And we as promoters like it because
they're healthier,
less hectic stuff. Yeah, absolutely, and definitely the more hydrated a fighter is on fight day, the better they typically perform, for sure.
Yeah, by leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds.
Hey, Chris, I want to ask you this before, in 2 minutes, before Cole asks you about the Diaz fight. I want to ask you the same day of the fight, and me and Cole have talked about it. You're going to have a Golden Boy the zone promotion, and the headliner is going to be Kovalov, the Crusher, against Carnero. Carnero's moving up from originally 160. He passed 168, moving all the way up to 175 pounds. What's your take on that fight? And do you think he should have put the weight on slowly, as opposed to, hey, I'm not going to skip a meal anymore, I'm just going to put the weight on, as opposed to, I'm going to put on some muscle and put it on slowly? What's your take on that fight and how he's putting the weight on?
Well, anytime that you're putting weight on, I think it's more enjoyable than taking weight off.
Right.
So he probably didn't mind too much. And I think what you find out is really, it's not always guys putting on weight, it's that they're just cutting less. Or maybe they're bulking up slightly, but then they're having less of a cut. And this almost always happens as guys get later on in their career. I mean, the Crusher he's known for his power.
Yeah. Right hand.
And if he's cutting less, he's probably going to have just as much, if not more, power. And the weight cut really affects guys from an endurance perspective.
Yeah. Crusher's, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Crusher's coming in at his normal weight, 175. It'll be for his belt. Canelo's moving all the way up from 160, all the way up. Yes, he's coming all the way up to 175.
Okay, so there's a couple things to discuss about that.
Okay.
Canelo has multiple allegations about, steroid use and things like that.
It's the meat, man. It's the meat. It's the meat.
It's the meat they eat. You're right.
Yeah.
The tacos.
He's eating ovary meat.
Yeah.
I would definitely want to see a clean drug test from him. When you gain, it's hard to gain muscle, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like if you gain 10, 15, 20 pounds of muscle and you've been an adult for a while, that's a lot. And if you can gain even more, that's a tremendous amount. And to be able to do that with legal substances is a very difficult thing to do, especially in a sport like boxing when your training is so cardio heavy and you really never want to be heavy. You just want to be lean and mean. Like that's sort of the body type, because you can take shots better and you can certainly throw more of them when you're not, when you're lean and mean. So, but Canelo is this faster fighter and he's the hotter fighter right now. So I think, I haven't seen the Vegas odds on this, but I would imagine Canelo, even with being the guy moving up in weight, he's probably still the favorite. Is that,
he's
a
favorite. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's the more technical guy. I think we see this happen quite a bit with guys who are, all-time great type fighters. Like how many different weight class championships did Roy Jones have, and Floyd Mayweather, and some of these other all-time great guys. Like they win in multiple weight classes, and maybe this is what Canelo's doing. And also, it's a money thing, right? I think
absolutely.
The heavier you become, the larger the purse tends to be. And he's kind of cleaned out the division. I love watching Canelo and Triple G. I pay to see that every time they want to do it. I like those guys put on a show. But if I had to pick, I'd say Canelo. I think the weight gain is probably just a more comfortable camp for him. I don't know how much. I mean, he's a big guy. Like when he fought the other guys, he was always the bigger man. So in this fight, that's going to be. It's going to change a lot of stuff. It's going to change what range he wants to be at, and if he's willing to exchange. I think most of the time when Canelo fights someone, he's happy to go punch for punch because he knows he's the stronger puncher. But against the Crusher, that's debatable.
The Crusher hurts everybody. I mean, in the first fight, he knocked down Andre Ward, and he was hurt. My next question is, and I will move along real fast. I'm going to let Cole ask you about the Diaz fight. Going up against UFC, it's the same date, November 2nd. We're talking about two major fights. The Golden Boy card is stacked as well. And then you got the UFC stacked. What's your opinion on that? Is it pride? They don't want to back down? And, hey, we already have the dates set. We're here.
From a promotional perspective, I think it's that. And this happens a lot because even at the regional level, we always try to avoid putting a show on the same day as a big UFC pay-per-view specifically, especially when like McGregor was at like the height and Ronda Rousey was at their height. Like if we knew McGregor and Rousey were going to fight, those real big needle mover type fighters, we would try to move the day of our show because we didn't want the casual fans to stay home and spend $50 to watch that pay-per-view instead of spend, $50 to come and see it in person.
Yeah, right. Or less.
So I think. So what I'm getting at by saying that is, I think that the promotions may or may not be aware of each other's dates, and they may set it. And then once you've set it and you book a big venue, like especially something like Madison Square Garden, that's a tight schedule, man. Like there's probably not a lot of open dates to choose from
against MGM Grand.
So once you've locked it down and you start that marketing machine, you can't worry about what anyone else is doing. That's the date, and you're going with it.
Yeah, and you go with the show.
So I would be curious to know which one of those two events was announced first, because if once one's announced, then the other guy's just got to do his homework and see, right?
De La Hoya and Dana White, they don't care for each other, so it really didn't matter.
Yeah, so this was probably an intentional thing, but I think if De La Hoya chose to intentionally go against this UFC card, to me that's a strange choice because I'm going to say I'm biased because I love both sports very, very much. My life definitely started as a huge boxing fan, but the moment I saw the Ultimate Fighting Championship for the very first time, I was completely hooked. I mean, boxing became second on the list for me. And to this day, it still is. I think MMA is a way more complete sport of fighting. I love fighting. I love martial arts. And you can do way more martial arts in the UFC than you can in boxing. So I'm more intrigued by it. So for me personally, if I can only watch one of those events, I'm tuning into the Baddest Motherfucker Championship.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that the co-main event on that, you've got Till versus you got Till versus Gastelum on that one for the co-main. That's those two fights alone. People are probably going to watch that fight over the Canelo fight just for the Masvidal-Diaz fight, period. Like, that fight alone carries a whole card, but they've got a co-main event with Till and Gastelum. That's going to be a nice one.
You know damn well you're going to have people with 2 damn TVs.
Streaming it on one computer and watching it on another. No, but I mean, same dates aside, who do you think's going to win that one?
I was about to ask you that.
You're a little closer to the East Coast, so Masvidal-Diaz.
Oh, the fight or the heads up on 2 networks?
Nah, the heads up on 2 networks. I think that's going to be a loss for the Canelo group. Okay. Not Canelo personally.
I think so too. I think the UFC has more momentum right now. I think they're being covered more extensively on the major sport networks, especially ESPN, because that massive deal that they did. Mm-hmm. And this to me, this fight honestly is I am more intrigued by Diaz Masvidal than I am by Canelo and the Crusher, man. I think it's a great fight.
I think you're right.
But you have two. I think the Crusher is not as well known in some fight fans out. Outside of the United States, maybe, but in the United States, I think the only one of those guys is a real big draw for the United States boxing fan. It's sad to say that, but I think Canelo. Everyone knows Canelo, but then the Crusher. I mean, people that watch the Ward fights. But
casual
he didn't
fan.
look as good as that second one.
Yeah.
So I do think the UFC is going to win that heads up in terms of fan viewership and just because they're also adding these other things. I'm sure you guys have heard they're talking like The Rock is going to go award the belt to them, and they've got some other tie-ins.
That's going to be
that's smart. Use it all.
Yeah, that's
use it all.
Marketing machine.
Culture. I mean, they're doing everything, and
he hates Delaware.
You guys, I can't remember. I don't know if it was your last episode or the one before, but I heard you guys break down this fight, and Cole, you did a really good job. It's hard to disagree with anything you said. You talked about how the range would play a factor as far as who's going to win, and Diaz is more comfortable outside, and Masvidal would probably have more
advantage on the inside the pocket.
And if it went to the ground, Diaz would probably have an advantage there as well. And I agree with 100% of that. What I'm surprised by though is, and it is kind of cool, but it's also sort of disappointing. When they announced that fight, I think everyone got a huge MMA boner. They're like, oh my God, this is too badass, shit talking.
Yeah, sells itself.
Type fighters, and I was one of those people. I especially when Ben Askren got knocked out so spectacularly. It's just like, oh my God, could you imagine if that fight really happened? Like, it's such an attractive matchup, and it still is. I mean, it hasn't lost a lot of luster for me, but I will say, it's been disappointing that these guys haven't really verbally jabbed like I think most people expected on the initial announcement that they were going to fight. I think
it's coming up. I think it's coming up.
They're both so good at shit talking. They're both so funny. But
I think it's still far out.
To me, and I have to agree. I think what those two guys are is they're really good counter punchers in terms of selling the fight. Like Diaz was so good because Conor would start all the shit, and then Diaz had all these great comebacks.
Yeah, they had something to feed off of.
Well, he had the real comebacks. I mean, he just kept it real the whole time.
Here's the thing: I think you're seeing that,
and they're both like that. They're both guys that keep it real completely. So they're funny to us because they're so honest.
Yeah,
like Masvidal's post-fight interviews are
3-piece and a soda.
Anyone that's never seen one, get on YouTube and immediately Google Masvidal post-fight interview. Doesn't matter which UFC it is. He is hilarious.
Yeah, dude speaks truth.
I mean, he's brutally honest.
I think realistically, you're seeing two guys that are just legit just dudes from the street, because Masvidal's been in those backyard brawls with Kimbo Slice since he was like 17, 18, like young. So, and then Diaz.
Fights of Nate Diaz in the same way.
Exactly.
They weren't as famous, but
but they're from the street to Stockton, and I think it's just what you're seeing is the UFC is really going to be put to the task on how they market this fight as it gets closer, because these two guys, they know that the other one knows that real dudes don't talk shit. They just swing fists. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, we don't need to even talk shit. We're going to bang.
The UFC's embracing this. And they're saying they should just call it badass.
Yeah.
You know, plain and simple, period.
The second they announced the fight, that was all the marketing they needed to do.
See, because people talked about wanting to see that fight. The minute Dana White found out, okay, Kovalov's fighting Canelo on November 2nd. He said, hell with it. He announced the fight. We're fighting November 2nd. And let's make it happen.
No, but I see what you say. I think this is just a byproduct.
It really is. It's a great matchup. I think, it's so hard to pick a winner, though. I don't know.
Hey, if Masvidal can get in the pocket, he's dangerous. Period.
Yes, agreed. And he mixes it up more. I think he ultimately
stronger.
Has more weapons. I think if he especially focuses on leg kicks, it seems to be something that gives Nate trouble.
Yeah, Nate's always had troubles taking those leg kicks because he's not as quick on the react. Well, because his thing is, Nate's stance is exactly. So he's got a lot of weight.
Take one to give one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so Nate, he's interesting because I've always been a Diaz fan. I was a huge Nick Diaz fan way back in the day. Like, I remember him knocking out Robbie Lawler and shocking the world. And I've really been a fan of the Diaz brothers since that moment. But for Nate always kind of hung under the radar. Even on The Ultimate Fighter, he was always just sort of like the little brother of Nick. But I remember, when I became like truly like loved and really respected Nate Diaz as far as a skill level fight is when Nate Diaz fought Donald Cerrone and just absolutely demolished him.
With that
distance. Cerrone was on a tear, if I remember right. Like Cerrone had been on a pretty good fight.
He was on like a good couple fights.
He was crushing dudes. And I love Donald Cerrone. I mean, there's not too many UFC fighters I don't think are amazing. But Donald Cerrone is one of those true fan favorite guys that when he's on, he's amazing. And when he fought Nate, he didn't look like he even knew how to fight. Like, Nate was so much better. And Nate is an expert at using range and using long punches to his advantage. And I was shocked because I didn't realize until I saw those guys face off, Nate Diaz looks quite a bit bigger to me than Masvidal does.
Oh, he's a big dude, man.
A little bit.
I thought they were very similar size, but when I saw him face off, I was kind of like, shit, Nate's bigger.
Yeah, they've got a little bit of a size difference. Nate's just, I think he's visually deceptively thin. Does that make sense? Like, he looks on his own, he looks thin, but when you put him up against another guy in the same weight class, you can see where his size actually goes against theirs. But yeah, I think if Nate can get him on the distance and keep him out there on the end of those punches, even though like on paper, like I said, Masvidal actually has the reach advantage, but on paper he has the reach advantage. But Nate knows how to utilize it better. Like that's his thing.
I don't think even. I mean, a reach advantage is only an advantage if you're on the outside.
Yeah, like, exactly. And if you know how to use it.
If you're choosing to stay in the pocket, it doesn't matter.
And Nate'll, dude, if Nate gets forced, he'll stay in the pocket too. That's the problem. He'll stay in the pocket. He don't care. But I think Nate's gotten smart enough over the last couple fights that he knows when to disengage when he's having a trouble. You know what I mean? Like when he's too close, he needs to disengage.
Yeah, I think, and I know this isn't going to happen because it would be so against what these two guys are as terms of fighters. I think if you're a coach and you're trying to, like, come up with the best game plan for this, I think if you're in Diaz's camp, you just go, look, man, you're a way better grappler. Get in there, tie him up, drag him to the ground, and submit him. And I think if he did that, he probably could win the fight pretty quickly. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think both these guys. I don't think there's going to be a minute of ground game in this fight unless someone gets knocked down.
I was going to say,
I think these guys are going to stand up and they're going to swing because
they're going to live up to the hype.
They both understand this is for the baddest motherfucker. This is for not only for the money that they're going to make on this fight, but the winner of that fight can make so much money. And what I'm hoping, and I'm sure the UFC is hoping, is that these guys put on a war that is close and competitive, and someone wins in spectacular fashion.
Yeah,
and then they run it again.
Promoter's wet dream.
And then they do a trilogy. And dude, if you're telling me right now that these guys are going to fight 3 times, I will tell you that I'd watch all 3.
Absolutely.
I got to see the first fight.
And especially either one, they're going to want to defend that belt.
Yeah, I got to see this first fight.
I hope they don't keep I hope it's not like the Intercontinental Championship or the hardcore, you know. Because then are you going to divert the focus of the fighter to just because is the baddest motherfucker badder than the champion of the world?
And
like,
that's
you know
gonna
what I mean? Like,
that's got to be the
always
expectation.
That ballot needs to be used accordingly.
Yes. So I think this fight needs to be like just between these two guys. What we're really talking about is an East Coast gangster versus a West Coast gangster.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I think that's what appeals to every person so much. And I mean, this has been going on since before Tupac and Biggie. Man, I mean, there's always been that natural.
Well, they showed up to the press conference looking like fucking Tony Scar and the dude that killed him.
Tony Montana.
Tony Montana, Scarface, and the dude that whacked him. Like they put those. Like I don't know. That had to have been Masvidal's idea because he's just slick like that. Like I could see him going, "Yo, I need a white fucking suit with a red shirt.
Right there.
Give me that pocket. Watch this shit, dude." He slicked back his hair in a ponytail and everything, dude. He came.
Looked good, man. I know. I wish Nate would have come out with a more, more like Compton look or something.
But that's just Nate, man. He is his. But just the dude's a Terminator.
Hey, he should have came in like on Scarface. Had his homies just come down on the rope, and he just come in where you least expect it. Holding that freaking that gun.
That's another piece to this. Are we going to see the two camps throw down at any point?
I'm waiting for that to happen. To be honest, I think
I will say this, okay? And you can pull up that picture right now. If Nate throws down, he's definitely going to bring Kilo the Kid from Stockton because that's who he's working with right now. You'll probably see Kilo the Kid just showing up somewhere in case there is a throwdown. So I just brought that up right now because Kilo's one of our fighters around the area that kind of promotes itself, and he's another badass, and he's been working out with Nate Diaz, and but
I would
that's gonna be a
imagine
crazy
it'll
fight.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
something.
crazy.
It'll be one of those CBS moments again or something.
Well, check this out. If these two fighters are hyped, what about their homies?
Yeah, dude.
What about their friends, their uncles, their families? Because they represent all of them across the board.
Well, and that's honestly what happens more. Usually the fighters, like if you look at, when Nurmagomedov and Conor had the deal, it was really a lot of it was more the guys behind him that were doing it than the actual athletes. I mean, Khabib obviously got involved, but he was attacking Dylan Dennis and not Conor. You know what I mean? Like it was those other guys, the entourages, because they don't have, they're just running their mouth.
Yeah, they don't feel they have consequence.
Earlier, like these guys are not run your mouth type guys. They're like, I'm gonna do what I say and say what I do, and your mouth is gonna be me punching my fist in your face.
That's why Khabib pointed at him.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Khabib pointed at him and said, "You're done."
Or whatever start saying things. It's there's not a lot of jokes to go around. There's not going to be a lot of like pushing. Or
and they picked like the absolute worst time to do it too. He had just slayed their lion, like the Pride leader. They had just slayed him. Then they start yipping and yapping. That's like the worst time to do it because he's like, I just killed your number one. You're all fucking lunch now. Yeah. Like you're not stopping me. If I just took out your number one, you're not stopping me. Khabib knew it, and they picked a bad time to do that. But yeah, okay. So you're picking. You're gonna pick with Masvidal, huh?
No, I don't know, man. Honestly, I think he's hotter right now, but man, it's so hard to.
Masvidal's so hot right now.
I really don't know. It's like when you're making me pick, I feel like I don't know.
It's hard. I know, but that's why I look at it from paper. I just look at it on the paper, and that's what I go with.
I'll tell you what. Well, don't fall under that pressure, Chris. Don't pick right now. I'll tell you what. That week before that's going on, why don't you make a video, make a pick, and send it to the Fighter's Voice, and we'll post it on
your exclusive pick.
And we'll post it on the show.
Hey, and I like that you said that too, because I strongly prefer to make my picks at the weigh-in.
Absolutely, so do I. Or sometimes I do at the walk-in.
Because there's so many factors that can change how a fight's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because everyone wants to take like prime guy versus prime guy, but the reality is you're probably not seeing a prime guy versus a prime guy. Like someone's got an injury somewhere, someone's got a girlfriend that just broke up with them, and they're mentally all over the place. Or there's so many other factors in life that can affect a single performance. And I just like to see how they stare down before I really
exactly.
So,
cool. Well, we look forward to that then.
If I may, I'd like to wait.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Plead the fifth. You're good. We look forward to that pick then.
I sometimes make a pick during the walk-in. Sometimes on how they're walking in and how they look. You spot something.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I will say this. I know who's definitely going to win, and it's the fans. The fans are
Yeah.
going to win that night
Dude,
because
for
it's going to
sure.
be a badass fight. It really will be.
Cool. Well, Chris, we appreciate you
Yeah,
coming
thank you,
on,
man.
man. I'm looking forward to having a new fan base for you. We're hoping we can get your exposure out there, some new fans, and maybe they can check out EFC 13. It'll be, what, Saturday?
Yeah, it's this coming Saturday. Yep. It'll
Cool.
be Saturday. It'll be live, and then there's a whole bunch. If people want to see like the quality of the show, or just kind of look at some of our tapes, we have a YouTube channel and of the Facebook and all that other stuff.
Mhm.
We've been posting fights from our library.
Cool.
To kind of let people see what it looks like and stuff like that. And I encourage everyone to check it out, man. And
Absolutely.
for all my awesome Central California people, man, I miss you guys tremendously. I miss that food so much.
We'll send you some pho.
Oh my God. The
Some
tortillas.
tacos.
Oh,
Some tacos.
so
You
good.
know, he wants the homemade tacos, tortillas, all of
Right?
them.
We'll ship it.
That's right.
All right, man.
You know what I have not had anywhere else but Fresno, and it was like mind-blowingly good, is fucking getting a beer with the shrimp on top and the salt and the tapatio, man.
Okay,
Like
bro.
that.
Okay, let me interrupt you right now. Okay, there's a bucket. You got your Corona right there. You got your tapatio all around there. You got your big fat pieces of shrimp. Throw the lime away. It's all about that lemon, a little bit of salt, man. You're good to go, man. I'm telling you right now.
It's a game changer, bro.
Oh, it
and
is.
Tapatio in general is so, like, before I moved to California, I didn't even know what that was. And since I've left, I have to have it.
You gotta have it.
I just have to start shipping in boxes. We're gonna be the new Christian.
People tell me about their Tabasco or their Cholulas or whatever, and I'm like, there's only one, bro. And it's
Yeah,
Tapatio.
exactly. Tapatio, my man. I mean, that you can't go
I
wrong
wish
with
they
that.
made those. Hey, do they still make Tapatio Doritos in Fresno? Because I can't find them nowhere else.
Yeah, they have them every once in a while.
Probably.
They got them at Food for Less. They'll have them every so often, so kind of stock
Like
up on
seasonal.
those.
Dude, those are the best. A total random thought, but those are the best Doritos.
Well, we're gonna have to keep our eye open.
Ever.
If you guys see those, grab a bag.
Well,
give it to us.
I want to share a bucket with my man Chris.
Yes.
A couple buckets.
He'll drink too.
Oh man.
All right, Chris.
That would be the
Appreciate
pretty
you
good.
coming on, amigo.
Yes.
We appreciate you giving us as much of your time. I know you're a couple hours behind us, or ahead of us, so you're way closer to your bedtime. I know you're up at like the butt crack of dawn, so we do appreciate you coming on, man. Remember, guys, EFC 13 this Saturday. Check it out. You can still get tickets if you're in the state. If you're out there and you want to watch it live, you can go on
Pay-per-view,
their
baby.
pay-per-view through Fight.tv. Is that it?
Yes, Fight.tv.
Fight.tv, guys. You can check it out live if you want, either in person or on pay-per-view. Chris, we appreciate you coming on, man. And as soon as we get your pick, send it to us, and we'll post that as well, man.
Guys, thank you so much for having me on. It was an absolute pleasure. I had a great time, and I'm a fan of the podcast. I'll be listening.
Sweet.
Hey, appreciate that. I'll send you the link later, and I'm going to grab a sample of tonight's show, and I'm going to post it later, and I'll be sure to tag you. And as your promotion stuff, I will be sharing it and supporting what you do.
Hey, guys, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Later, Chris.
All right, man. Thank you, Chris.
Adios.
Later. Excellent choice as a guest.
Yeah, cool guy, I
And
told
it's so
you.
funny because when you told me, I was like, okay, who is that again? And when you told me, I go, oh yeah, I follow this dude. He's badass.
Yeah,
I watch
I
his
knew
clips.
a light would
I've
click
watched
with you.
his things, and we went back and forth as far as like compliments or sharing stuff. And he was solid right out the
Looking
get-go,
at
right out
each
the
other's
gate.
work and stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
dude. Yeah,
absolutely.
no.
Yeah.
Told you, Chris is super. He's just like I said. That's why I didn't have to market
And he
him
does,
very
and he's no
much.
bullshitter. He knows
Yeah,
what he's talking
straightforward.
about.
Yeah, no, he does.
He knows because he was dissecting. When he said he saw something at the weigh-in, you go, oh, no, bullshit. He saw something at the weigh-in.
saw
Sometimes
something.
I'll wait for the walkout.
Yeah.
I'm going, okay, I see.
I've done that too, and
I
it's
go,
like,
no,
dude, homie looks
something's not right.
Something's all right. Yeah, he doesn't
Yeah.
look. He doesn't look there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a couple fights where I've had close people to me look at me later and fight and go,
Yeah.
dude, that was hard to watch. And I go, I know. And he goes, no, because the second I saw you walk out, I knew something was wrong.
No,
like
he's
I've had a
he's
couple fights where I've
badass.
had stuff going
Yeah,
on. So
we got to
he's-
have him in studio, man.
Yeah, no, dude, in studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got to
he'd be
share that
cool.
tapatio because I like tapatio.
Man, I feel like if you guys find those chips, like let us know. I'll just start shipping him chips,
Yeah,
man.
there you go.
He'll love it. It's we'll send with the bottle of Tapatio in it, courtesy of Fresno.
There you go. There you
But
go. Remember,
yeah.
as your acting agent, you got to hide me in your duffel bag. Okay.
Right? That's right. I got to
Absolutely.
start working on days
Hey,
off for that, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Grab that.
No, I will. I'm burning some days off now. I got to go up to Thunder Valley, so it'll be fun. I'm going to try to get back up
Yeah,
there.
no,
in the same
absolutely.
industry, but yeah,
Absolutely.
that'll be fun. It'll be fun. We'll stick you in the
Yeah.
bag. We'll get a big duffel bag.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we will.
No, you want to check the bag? Nope. It's carry on.
Nah. You don't want. Yeah, carry on. Yeah, we'll make that happen. But hey, I do want to announce, ladies and gentlemen, next Tuesday we have the one, the only Mr. Mikey Garcia. 4 different weight classes, 5 belts. It doesn't get any better than that. He's going to join us here in studio by way of phone call, but he's still in studio. And we're going to talk about a new product that he's endorsing. We're going to talk about his future. And we're going to talk about his whole take on Spence and what the sport of boxing needs. He is a pioneer. His brother is, Mikey Garcia, and his brother. Did I say Mikey or Robert?
Mikey.
I just said Mikey. And yes, Robert, Hall of Fame, legendary trainer, which I've been hearing rumors. I'm not too sure that Triple G may be walking in. I don't want to start rumors. Maybe walking in that gym and say, hey, I need another trainer. Based on the
things you've heard.
Yes, exactly the way Triple G's fight just panned out last time. He needed some help in the corner.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Man,
exactly.
hey, not to cut you off at all. I know we're cutting loose, but dude, the Spence, the Lambo.
Yes.
And
I
he
do
was
wanna talk
thrown
about-
from the car.
Exactly.
How the fuck is he not dead?
Let me tell you this, and I'm going to keep this real, okay? This is what I felt, and I'm going to try not to get emotional. When I saw that footage, I just kept like replaying in my head, like, dude, the angel moved him out of that car.
Something, dude.
Bro, to walk out of there, no scratch.
No broken bones.
No fracture, no broken bones. A little scratch right
Yeah.
here. And he's going to make a complete recovery? No, none of that.
No?
I mean, it hasn't been.
Because I'm saying that's what
announced.
happens. Like when you get in a wreck, you kind of just go limp. But I'm thinking like that's the only thing I can think. Dude, he just won the thing 10 days ago or from that time. But it's like, dude, I saw that was like, I saw the name, I saw the video, I was like, is
And it
that
didn't look good? Yeah.
Is that so and so? I was like, I looked, I was like, oh my god, it was, dude. That blew my mind. But that is a cause and effect of having that much fame, that much money, that much access to those choices,
and that much power behind the wheel.
Yeah, that too, but it's those choices, like that choice, like having the ability to say, I'm going to drop $250K in a Lambo and I'm going to drop the fuck out of it because I can afford it. Anybody living like a $20,000 a year salary or something is going to be like, yeah, I'm not trying to flip my Hyundai. Yeah. So it's the money that comes with it, and it has choices that go with it, and the responsibility that some dudes mess up.
One hell of a life lesson, man.
I mean, I'd love to hear a story like he's like, I was trying to dodge a dog. Like a dog ran on the road. I'd be like, cool, but bro, you flipped 5 fucking times and the car said, yeet. Car said, get the fuck out. Dude, how he walked away, I want to know his secret.
One way, man.
But somebody was looking out for him, that's for sure. But yeah, I just want to bring that up real quick because I heard you mention his name. And I was like, dude, I saw that Lambo video.
Yes.
Sorry, that was a mind blowing when I saw it, and that he didn't have any broken bones.
I miss the energy, man.
Because I saw the follow up, and he had no broken bones or anything, and I was like, dude, how do you get thrown from the car? I don't know. But anyway.
Just waiting to get a confirmation on next Wednesday's guest, Regis Rigaroo, Prograis, right? He's fighting for the belt. Now, I'm going to put this video up right now, but we'll be tagging some people. He recently went on, like they have a 24/7 backstage part 1 and part 2.
Little behind the scenes.
Yes, and he was rocking the Fighter's Voice t-shirt.
I saw that. I like that,
on
dude.
video, and I'm going to be posting that. I mean, he's a man of his word.
Without asking.
Without asking. And he tagged me. He tagged me on the video, and I'm like, okay. And I didn't just want to say like or something without reviewing it.
Watch it.
And when I watched it, like, oh, wow.
He figured you'd get a kick out of it.
It made my day.
Because he was lounging.
He's just chilling.
Yeah,
every fighter has a voice.
Yeah, that's good to know that they're supportive even when, they're not thinking about it. They're just
down in London.
Yeah, that's good.
That's big. That's fat. Hey, take us away.
All right, guys. So real quick, thanks for checking us out. Remember, subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yes.
Click it, like it, subscribe to it, follow it. You're going to get notifications if you hit that little bell. It'll tell you when we're putting out new content. It won't always necessarily be the show. When we put out content, you'll get the ding. So follow that, check that out. Could be pics, could be anything that we're going to post, guys. So check that out, follow it. Get on our Instagram, @TheFighter's Voice on Instagram. We've got a Facebook page. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Hulu. We're everywhere. So
and we're on time.
We're on time.
And remember, that's www.youtube.com/TheFighter's Voice. That's www.youtube.com/TheFighter's Voice. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you. And I want to thank Mr. Miles Harris, attorney of law. Hey, if you ever need an attorney, he's the one, man. Miles Harris, right there, boom.
Esquire.
There it is, and it's a wrap. Hey, as always, it's a wrap here in Fresno, California. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week.
Remember.
It's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole Escovedo, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.